Good evening, folks. This is your ticker guy coming at you from wonderful Niceville, Florida. I want to talk tonight about the very interesting hearing the last 2 days. Ben Bernanke giving what is known in the government as Humphry-Hawkins testimony. I want to begin, though, by reading part of Ben's famous 2002 speech on deflation. I have a page of it right here. It says, this is under curing deflation. The conclusion that deflation is always reversible under a fiat money system follows from basic economic reasoning. A little parable may prove useful. Today, an ounce of gold sells for $300 more or less. Now, let's suppose that a modern alchemist solves his subject's oldest problem by finding a way to produce unlimited amounts of gold at essentially no cost. Moreover, his invention is widely publicized and scientifically verified, and he announces his intention to begin massive production within days. What would happen to the price of gold? Presumably, the potentially unlimited supply of cheap gold would cause the market price to plummet. Indeed, if the market for gold is to any degree efficient, the price of gold would collapse immediately after the announcement of the invention, before the alchemist had produced and marketed a single ounce. What has this got to do with monetary policy? Like gold, US dollars have value only to the extent that they are strictly limited in supply. But the US government has a technology called a printing press, or today its electronic equivalent, that allows it to produce as many US dollars as it wishes, essentially at no cost. By increasing the number of US dollars in circulation, or even by credibly threatening to do so, the US government can also reduce the dollar value in terms of goods and services, which is equivalent to raising prices of those goods and services. We conclude that under a paper money system, a determined government can always generate higher spending and hence positive inflation. Well, Dr. Bernanke, then maybe you can explain your answer to Mr. Sherman, the House of Representatives yesterday. Because, see, the IMF came out with this little study that said that one way to solve all of these wonderful problems that we have with debt would be simply to raise the inflation target to 5 to 6% a year and hold it there. Your answer to Mr. Sherman repeatedly was that we will not monetize the debt. What's wrong, Ben? 2002 paper not working out so good? You know, you've already monetized the debt. I really wish you would just come clean and tell people the reason that you've changed your tune on this. It's because it didn't work, isn't it? You know, you believed that by driving down the interest coupon on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac securities, that is intentionally overpaying for them, that you could stabilize house prices. Why? Because essentially all mortgages these days are underwritten through those guys one way or another, and with the collapse of the private mortgage market, they're essentially the entire market for new funding. How come it hasn't happened, Ben? Foreclosures haven't stopped. Delinquencies haven't stopped. People are still losing their houses. That's when the banks decide that they want to foreclose. Most of the time they just kind of sit on the inventory, right? So what really went wrong here, Dr. Bernanke? Is it that when you printed more cheap money and put it into the economy, the only thing that happened is it went into oil? Oil goes from $35 to $80 even though demand is down? How does that happen? Well, you depreciate the value of dollars in terms of foreign things that people would buy outside the United States. But you didn't get the stability that you thought you'd get inside the United States, did you? No, you did not. Folks, this has profound implications. For those of you that weren't paying attention yesterday and today in the Senate, the bottom line is this. Ben Bernanke has repudiated his helicopter drop analogies. The Keynesian concept that you can just throw money out of helicopters and make everything okay when there's a debt overhang and people can't pay. Dr. Bernanke didn't come out and say, I was wrong, but he did the next best thing. He said, we're not going to do it. Well, if he truly believed that this would solve the problem, he would, of course, do it. Therefore, it seems that Mr. Bernanke has had an epiphany. This, by the way, has profound implications for the path that our country will follow in the coming months and years. No, we will not hyperinflate. And when you think about it for a moment, the problem with Bernanke's thesis all along is that as a central bank, he's still a bank. Bernanke only had one thing to sell originally, and that is dollars. The ability to get people to take on more debt only works as long as someday you get paid. If you're a banker and you loan somebody $500,000 to buy a house, and they pay you back with hyperinflated dollars, and that $500,000 now buys a loaf of bread, the bank's the one who lost, not the consumer. Ben may be many things, and he may be good at spewing his academic garbage when he doesn't actually have to implement things in the real world. But unfortunately, reality comes and bites you. I've been saying since this crisis began, as soon as it became obvious that we had gone over the cliff, that superinflation or hyperinflation or whatever you care to call it wasn't going to be the path that was taken. Because doing so would destroy not only the government, but more importantly, it would destroy the Fed. So folks, buckle up, because we have all kinds of games that have still been played. Greece, credit default swaps, all kinds of fun stuff. It's not over. Iceland walked out of the ICE-safe talks today. You can hear that talked about on CNBC. Oh yeah, we had a nice late day rally in the stock market. How long will it be before people figure it out? Greece, Spain, Portugal, Iceland, the United States. When you suck on the government tit and you find it's dry, the usual next response is the people who are doing the sucking start to bite. Think about that for a moment and where this probably leads for our country, and then be prepared. I'm your ticker guy, and that's my view.